Okay, so for this is a single replacement reaction. And I know that it is a single replacement reaction because it is a reaction between an element and a compound. And in order to predict whether this single replacement reaction will take place, I need to find if the element that is alone is above the element that it's trying to replace on the activity series. So what is the element that's alone? That's this guy right here, the aluminum. And what element might it replace? Well, remember this. Metals replace metals. Non-metals can replace non-metals, but a metal can replace hydrogen. So this is that scenario. The metal is trying to replace hydrogen. Perhaps aluminum can replace hydrogen in that reaction. And then hydrogen would be by itself and aluminum would be bonded to chlorine. So how can I tell if that's going to take place? So I look at where aluminum and hydrogen are on the activity series. And I notice that, in fact, yes, aluminum is above hydrogen. So this reaction will take place. What will this reaction be? Well, at this point, all you need to know is how to predict if this reaction will take place. But here's the reaction that takes place. Aluminum, when it is added to hydrochloric acid, it will replace hydrogen, that means it will kick hydrogen out, and hydrogen will be on its own. And what will it leave behind? It will leave behind the compound, the ionic compound, aluminum chloride. And if I look at what happens in this, looking at it in terms of electrons, aluminum will go from having a neutral charge. Aluminum solid is aluminum metal. That is a neutral charged. And it will produce, in this reaction, aluminum 3+ will be made. And that means what must happen to aluminum? Aluminum must lose electrons. And if you remember, we have this mnemonic here, oil rig, that says oxidation is when you lose electrons and reduction is when you gain electrons. So here I would say aluminum is oxidized. If I'm looking for the element that was reduced, because every time there's an element that's oxidized, there's an element that's reduced, it's hydrogen. Hydrogen goes from having a +1 charge, a positive charge, to being by itself. And when elements are by itself, they have a neutral charge. So what does that mean? That means it must have gained an electron. So I would say aluminum is oxidized and hydrogen is reduced. Okay, but to answer the question that was asked, just predicting if these single replacement reactions will take place, yes, this reaction will take place because aluminum is above hydrogen on the activity series.